My fellow South Africans, let us discuss the stake of the nation on the eve of Heritage Day 2014, a day where we all gather around fires and celebrate our heritage by braaiing something hot and drinking something cold.
My guest today is the stake president, Jan Braai, a man whose mission is to get everybody in South Africa to braai. In fact, on Heritage Day on the 24th of September, he believes that we should save electricity by braaiing. Jan, it's wonderful to be here under these trees at the Wanderers. Where did this all start? Because everybody believes that September the 24th is actually Braai Day. They don't know it's Heritage Day.
Well, it's both, and I think both in a good way. Heritage Day, obviously one of South Africa's new public holidays. I think of it as the only public holiday that is truly non-religious or political. Obviously there's a very good reason why we have Freedom Day or Youth Day or Women's Day and all the religious holidays. But through the ages and centuries, religion and politics were the two biggest reasons why nations went to war. So there's absolutely no way you're going to unite a nation around religion or politics. It's just not going to realistically happen,
And
not in our lifetime.
You think by braaiing it does that?
Braaiing is not our only heritage. It's not our most important heritage, but it's our common heritage, and therein lies the trick. It's the one thing that all South Africans like to do. It's an ancient ritual in Africa, way before Westerners arrived here. It's the way people united around fires.
I was going to ask you that question. Was it something the Boers passed on, or did it come the other way?
I think it would be a massive insult of white people to think that they invented this this habit. We know for a fact that the oldest signs of controlled fire is at the Sterkfontein Caves, the cradle of mankind, which is a World Heritage Site. And then over the past 5 years, scientists also found at Pinnacle Point, just outside of Mossel Bay, the oldest signs of modern humans controlling and making fires. And this was 160,000 years ago. And this is in South Africa. And worldwide scientists agree it's the oldest sign of controlled and made fires. So that's the start of braaiing. And obviously within tribes, that's how it always happened. You united around a fire. That's where the elders sat and discussed matters of importance.
I want to ask you something. You started off life as a fairly conservative person. You're an accountant. You went into financial services. You even started to study for a CFA. Why did you give it up to braai?
I wouldn't say I gave it up to braai. So when you apply for a visa or somewhere where you've got to fill in a form these days and say your occupation, I never write braaier, I write nation builder, because I consider my occupation to be nation building. Braaiing is just a means to an end. It's a tool that I use to try and foster social cohesion in South Africa. At the time I was 25 years old, and I had a severe bout of quarter-life crisis, and I just didn't see the point of
quarter-life crisis.
Yes,
at 25.
And I didn't see the point of what I was doing. I think if we can quickly touch on the point of an auditor, which I was an auditor. I'm still a CA, but I'm not a practicing auditor. I think if compulsory audits for listed companies were abolished, there would be a point to the auditing profession, because then your cost of capital would come down if you were audited, and your cost of capital would rise if you're not audited. So then companies can make a financial decision, do they want to be audited? Whereas there's a lot of inefficiencies in that profession because of the fact that you have to get audited.
You've got me on a touchy subject, because I'm not a great believer in the published accounts and what they represent. It's very difficult to understand accounts.
Yeah, so the company that I worked for was a fantastic place. My colleagues and bosses and the clerks under me, they were all great people. So I've got nothing against the profession. It was the actual job that I personally didn't really enjoy. I wanted to do something where I felt I'm creating value for society. So naturally in South Africa you start looking at charitable projects. My problem with most charities are that it's a bottomless pit. As soon as the person with passion or capital behind that charity disappears, the charity is gone. It's a never-ending story, whereas I thought it would be awesome to spend and invest my time into a project where you're creating an asset. So as when you're gone, that thing still pays annuities for the purpose of which it was created. And the National Braai Day Initiative aims to position Heritage Day on the 24th of September as South Africa's annual public or national day of celebration, similar to a St. Patrick's Day, a Bastille Day, Thanksgiving in America, Australia Day in Australia, etc. So I think National Braai Day can live without me. We can still have millions of South Africans patriotically celebrating this awesome country on the 24th of September.
How do we get involved in it? How do we become part of National Braai Day? I mean, I can't even light a fire.
You've just got to find someone who can, or just walk down the street. The easiest way, if you can't find a braai on the 24th, is just get up on your roof and look for smoke. I call it the word of nose campaign. If you smell a braai, then just go there. So Braai Day
how does one get started? I mean, do you use briquettes and
the physical fire? I think in the northern parts of South Africa, or let's say in Gauteng, there's probably a braaiwood shortage. It's one of the greatest threats facing our national security these days. It's the shortage of braaiwood. So there you can obviously braai with charcoal, and then as you move out into the countryside, wood is advisable.
Why? Does it get its flavor from, does the meat get its flavor
smoke,
from?
Obviously.
The smoke from
it
wood.
gives a bit of flavor. And it's just that ancient ritual of staring into the flames, and that is the essence of Braai Day, is gathering around a fire, because in the old times, obviously at the fire there was safety from wild animals, there was warmth and light. So that's the vision I'd like people to have, is just South Africans gathering around fires. The physical fire, I think there's no shame in using firelighters. You know, we're not the hunters and gatherers that our ancestors used to be, so just buy a fire.
No gas.
Look, gas is Afrikaans for guest at your braai. It's not something you braai with. I have a gas stove in my kitchen. I make scrambled eggs with it.
A lot of modern homes now have gas, you know. And
so there's no shame. There's nothing wrong with gas per se, but I think when you're braaiing on the 24th of September, be proud of your heritage and make a real fire.
And drink. How important is drink as part of this national
It's
heritage?
not compulsory, but anywhere in South Africa, you're about 2,000 kilometers at most from a malaria area. So you've got to be safe. Start with a gin and tonic, just to make sure. And then obviously you can move. I think we've got some of the greatest, or I know we've got some of the greatest wines in the world. So enough white wine, enough red wine.
Beer seems to complement a steak at a braai.
There's nothing wrong with it.
You're going for wine?
Well, I grew up in the Western Cape, so there we're obviously more skewed in the direction of supporting.
Red wine, or does it not make any difference?
Personally, I don't discriminate. I drink red and white wine. But I think just drink what you enjoy most. I think for lunchtime, maybe a chicken or a fish braai, white wine is fantastic. And then in the evening, when you're doing chops, boerewors and steak, you can move on to the red wine.
So you braai the whole day? You could.
Yes, and then there's obviously the burning wine, brandewyn, which you can enjoy with Coke, which brings us to the next important ingredient of a braai, is enough ice. Ice to make your beer and your wine cold, ice to put in your brandy and Coke and in your gin and tonic, and ice to treat burn wounds with should they arise.
You say that. You say the meat must be hot, the drink must be cold.
Exactly. The meat should be hot, the drink should be cold. Essentially, there are three things the nation needs to focus on the 24th of September. It's uniting around fires, sharing our heritage and waving our flag.
Seasoning?
Seasoning, I think you can braai any season, but the best season to braai is spring, the 24th of September, which is the start of summer.
I'm talking salt and pepper.
Through my extensive research, I think it makes absolutely no difference when you season the meat. If you like to season it before the braai, do that. During the braai or after the braai, as you wish. The thing that we must be careful of when braaiing is marinades. Those sweet and sticky marinades tend to go black very quickly. When I say black, I mean burn on the braai. So if you like your spare ribs or your chicken wings or whatever with the sweet and sticky sauce, I suggest just braai the meat as is and add the sauce very close to the end of the braai, because it's physically impossible to braai a heavy marinated whole chicken for 40 or 50 minutes without it turning black.
When do you know the steak's done? When you know to your how can you
Say
tell?
9 out of 10 times, if you think it's done, it is done. It's the single biggest problem in the braaiing culture of South Africa is over braaiing meat, so braaiing it too long and too dry. The scientific easiest way, and the way that I do it at home, is just use a meat thermometer. It's a little digital thing. It's the length of your finger, and you just put it into the meat, and it tells you the exact internal temperature of the meat. And then it's science. On 57
how
degrees,
must you
your
get your
steak.
steak? What should it look like?
I like it medium rare. Steak, beef meat, you can eat medium rare. You can eat lamb meat medium rare as well, but I like it a little bit more medium, that the fat is burnt better, or braaed better. And chicken, you've got to eat well done, so because there's more risk of foodborne illnesses. So there you use your thermometer and you braai it to 80 degrees, your lamb to 63, and your beef to 57.
And weather shouldn't be an issue.
Weather really shouldn't be an issue. Just use more
underwater.
firelighters. Yes, it wasn't that I wanted to braai underwater as such. It's that I've already braaied in all 8 World Heritage sites in South Africa. I've already braaied on all the 4 corners. So at Mapungubwe, the most northern point, Kosi Bay, the most eastern, Alexander Bay, the most western, and Agulhas, the most southern. So then I said, let's go and braai at the top of South Africa. So I went by chopper to Mafadi Peak, the highest point in South Africa, and we braaied there. And then I wanted to braai in the lowest point in South Africa. Now, unlike some countries like the Netherlands,
So you took it
South
literally.
Africa don't have low points. And then I wanted to create a place to braai. So I thought, let's go under the sea. And then I found this, he's an engineer, and he used to build like rockets and stuff for South African government in the bad old days. And now he just builds cool stuff. So, so he said he can take me underwater and we can braai there. So then we built this thing. It looks like a built-in braai of a house, but we sank it down to 3 meters, and it had a chimney that obviously went all the way up. And then we had an aircon expert who designed like the pipes going in to feed fresh air. Yeah.
You're not going to do it again, though, are you?
No, that was a once-off. Yeah.
We're going to have to end off. The time has gone incredibly fast, but I'm going to ask you one last question. What about a barbie? What about shrimp on a barbie? How do you look at the Aussies?
With disdain, especially when they beat us at rugby. But I think a barbie is a doll that kids play with. Shrimp is something that you can braai.
Jan, we hope you get all 50 million South Africans around a Braai Heritage Day. It's been delightful to talk to you. I'm interested in where the next Braai-a-thon is going to take place, and really good luck for your ventures and that. Don't come back to financial services. Stay with your dream.
David, I urge you to spend the 24th of September maybe doing a bit of sport, a Braai-a-thon. So braai something that used to swim, used to run, and used to fly.
You've been with Jan Scannell and David Shapiro on the couch.